of guest, chief guest, and it was Wednesday, and the concern is that these 4 youth were picked at the event just because they heckled the chief guest during delivery of her speech, and they have been behind bars until today. So the concern was that these youth have overstayed in detention without being produced either to a competent court. So someone is saying that actually saying that these youth have no case to answer because they did not even participate in the heckling.
But even if they had, is that a criminal offense? No, in a democracy that the minister says she speaks for. You should have seen someone throwing eggs at a prime minister.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
I've seen people doing worse things than that. You see these people who are demonstrating against the killing of people in Gaza. They are always echoing the president wherever he goes. There is no address that the president of the US has addressed ever since the outbreak of the conflict in Palestine, that he has not had demonstrators. But what they do, they just escort them out of the room. So the minister, I think it is absurd that someone should be arrested simply for echoing a minister. So the minister should have some shame, really. If she says she works for and she's in a democracy, I mean, we are in a democracy.
Actually, I have a little background of what happened. The Honorable Minister in charge of the Presidency has been jumping from one constituency to the other, saying she wants to contest. I think she first went to Jinja, saying she wants to contest in a constituency there in Kagoma. People say, but you are not a resident here, you are not born here. How are you coming here? So she moved to another constituency. Again, the reception was the same. Then she went to Budiope West.
Actually, this is
and
West.
yes, and it was actually planned, orchestrated by, allegedly, by the current MP, who printed T-shirts with her photograph and dressed some youth who appeared at the function with a cross, saying, no, you also, you don't belong here. Can you go back to where you are either married or born or where you reside? So I think the minister also needs to be...
But in real sense, shouldn't that be a role of either the EC to say, no, you don't belong here?
Protest. If people, a few 5 people in the constituency are putting on the T-shirts and saying, don't come here, do you have to arrest them?
Okay.
It is their right.
Richard, one quick comment on leaders not developing that thick skin to absorb such a provocations.
There is a friend from old times who also was regular on air. These things we come and talk. Then he became a minister. So at the station, where he was also regular like we do, they said, oh, we celebrate your departure, but you know also your elevation. And then he had been coming here for years every week. When he reached the station, he now said, I am going to enter with my... I have a pistol, I'm entering with it. I have a car in front of me, that one. And then I have the ones who are working with me, comes with an AK-47 and a pistol here. I don't think he even is trained well enough to effectively use these gadgets. And it was a real crisis. And then the boss must be the one to come and pick me here from the gate. And it was quite an incident. And then one person came and said, you people, I keep telling you that you are unable to handle power. The only way you can handle it is to abuse it, even when it is residual, because you don't have power. Yeah, even when it is residual. So I can understand the residual power handling crisis of the minister if these allegations are true. They are in a crisis. They really think they are powerful, they have no power, and then they go abusing and misusing. And so if it is true that the honorable minister, honorable with the quote unquote, is doing this, then she should prepare to really fail in the election.
It's a concern from from our viewers, and it comes in from Budiope. But this has been a concern all of us. The civil civic space is continually dwindling.
Yeah, so just a small thing. Richard talks about people who have been given some little power. We had a minister, the Minister of Defense, Bamulangachi. He has been a resident in Kungu, near my grandmother's, my grandmother's on the mother's side area. But he even restricted access to the place. Yeah, border borders wouldn't cross there. So if you have somewhere a border, you do it would take you, even if you are going half a kilometer towards his place, they wouldn't allow a border there. So,
really?
But now he's no longer minister, and people are, instead of being annoyed that their man has been dropped, they are happy now they will have some peace, because now
the
soldiers
borders
been
are allowed.
Because now the soldiers who have been guarding the ministers, the Minister of Defense,
have been withdrawn.
Obviously they are going to go out. I'm not sure whether they have been withdrawn, but they will be withdrawn. So now we are going to take back, we are going to get back our life after he's been dropped minister. So instead of us celebrating your achievements, we actually celebrate when you lose them.
Kali,
so in this case, for me, what was interesting, in the place where celebration was going to happen, there were other ministers already who came, the ones who have been ministers longer, with the same security, cars in front of them, and they had entered with the, I mean, really, there was no problem. They all left the guns outside. Even they are like, they,
so he was the only inconvenience.
He was no. I hesitate to say nuisance, not just convenience.
Well, if you was kick off the show, it is The Dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo. Let's go straight to what happened in Parliament as MPs, together with the Speaker, rejected a move by government, actually the Minister of Finance, to slash the budget of Parliament by a half. We are not so sure whether this was prompted by social media claims on social media and elsewhere, which represented Parliament, operations of Parliament as subject to mismanagement, abuse of office, and wasteful expenditure. But of course, this came out this week with the PSST Ramadan Gobi making it clear that government is planning to slash Parliament's budget by a half. But we should also remember that this comes amid aid cuts, soaring public debt, and within a struggling economy. Dr. Gerard Welewanzala, what do you make of this move? And do you think it is justifiable to have the budget of Parliament slashed in any way?
Thank you very much, Apollo. You know, one of the people who have the most difficult jobs in this country is Ramadan Gobi, the Secretary to the Treasury. I've seen him before he became the PS, Secretary to the Treasury, and at that time he was a champion of what some people call Musevenomics. And he used to look at the budgeting process just like the way we do. That actually the way we budget in Uganda, sometimes it doesn't make sense at all to the ordinary person. Reason being, you can find, like in this case, Parliament has a lot of money under the travels. moving out of the country or within the country. And that is the money that is the most abused. One, it is used for bribing members of parliament. You have requested to go abroad for 2 days, they will give you 10 days, okay? You pocket the money, after 1 day, you come. There's a time you would board an airplane. There's a time I was in Ethiopia. My flight delayed for about maybe 8 hours. But I saw different delegations of the Ugandan parliament. This one moving here, people exchanging bags, they hugging each other at the airport. I said, where do all these guys go? And when they come back, how does it benefit us? Because if there was any best practice that they have gone, benchmarked, and we see them applying on the floor of parliament or even in the committees of parliament, I, as a taxpayer, the owner of the money, I would appreciate. But the more they travel, the more they're out of the country, the more...
For your information and for the viewers, listen to this. Gobi says Parliament deviated from government's fiscal consolidation measures, such as the suspension of travels abroad, purchase of new cars, etc. So, government had, you remember when we came through COVID and had that plan of introducing measures to cut on expenses, but Gobi says Parliament deviated from those measures.
Actually, he has not relented on what he says. Even when he appears before the Budget Committee of Parliament, he has always told them that we plan, we discuss, we say our priorities are ABC, but when it comes here, what you do is different. So it beats common sense sometimes. For instance, I'll give the context currently. When we passed the anti-homosexuality bill, we have lost funding. It's a reality. From bilateral organizations, World Bank, the funding has reduced. We have individual donors who have been putting money in NGOs here. I will not name them. Some of them have come with the conditions. Unless we see the court case settled and this law annulled, there's no money. So many people are unemployed. The fact also is that there are challenges in government, like funding HIV, funding malaria, funding reproductive health. Most of the money has been, actually there are areas where our government has pulled out totally, like reproductive health. Because they say, that's for Bazungu, they will fund, okay? Right now, recently, I saw a document days ago. Donors are pulling out of malaria. It is the biggest killer in this country. And when we talk about the killer, people think that malaria is contracted when you are feeling, because then they cure. But malaria remains, destroys kidneys and so forth. So kids die, but people are not able to relate even to the malaria problem. Now, if we keep on putting money to a place where over 500 people, this same group, every time they are sick, they go to India. There is a very big fraud now going on in this country, where some local medical people are agents of Indian hospitals. Even a small thing that, your case is very complex, let me refer you to India. They are all feasting on that.
But you know, there is a process, even the media councils to approve. If anything,
those processes can be beaten.
Okay.
We are in Uganda. You remind me of Dr. Spire yesterday. He said, he drew a cartoon and said, this is another year for me to be blamed. There was Judas Iscariot to be blamed. And then he said, but if I was in Uganda, I would be a leader. So our country, anything can happen. Okay. Anything can happen. So I have no doubt about that. Okay. So in reality, coming to the budgeting process, that whole budget, from budget appropriation, budget performance, okay, we need to review the entire budgeting process. And we see in the context of where aid has been cut, where, money is not coming in, we need to be frugal. Okay?
All right. Richard, we are at a time of concluding the budgetary process, and at the same time, government is working on a process to merge agencies and in a way of saving some money. Here is a proposal from government, specifically the Minister of Finance, but the Speaker, together with MPs, say that this decision is humiliating and demeaning the institution of the legislature. What do you make of that?
You made very interesting introductory remarks. You seemed to say there are people who think that the social media impacts budgeting in Uganda. Social media. Uganda's budget and approvals of expenditure and whatever are not made at the Ministry of Finance. They are just implemented at the Ministry of Finance. So we sustain. We are comfortable to know the truth but sustain the lies. I think there's a certain comfort to have. I don't know. There's a certain comfort in not facing the truth. In the truth can sometimes be very difficult.
What is the truth?
And you decide not to face it. So let's assume we want to cut expenditure. We had a budget of what, 52 trillion?
52 trillion.
I think now we have one of 58.
58.
So where are we cutting? From 52 to 58 we are cutting. So where is the cut? That's the one I want to see. I don't know. Maybe people see it. For me, I don't see a cut. I see an increase. That we have increased from 52 to 58. So maybe there is a cut somewhere. That's the first one. The second thing is we have three arms of government. The legislature, the judiciary, and the executive.
Yeah, true.
If we indeed had a 52 trillion shilling budget, one arm, which is the legislature, takes less than 1 trillion of the 52. The other one, I think the judiciary also takes less than 1 trillion. So the 50 trillion go to the executive. So where is the hemorrhage? Where is the actual hemorrhage? The ones who take 50 or the ones who take less than 1? If we are cutting, how come we are not having half the budgets of the centers which take the largest portions of the budget? We talk about buying new cars. So if we are going to cut the places where the new cars were bought, then we need to start from vote 001 and vote 002. Uganda's budgets are votes. We have vote 001 and vote 002. But they will be telling you that they are all pocket change for one person, or one family for that matter. So how come how come the fleets there were bought and that one we are not cutting?
Are you saying the decision from the Minister of Finance?
You are cutting me short.
All right.
Maybe I'm not being clear, but ask, am I saying?
Are you saying the decision from the Minister of Finance is being just unfair to the institution of the legislature?
Okay, let me say this again. I said the budget decisions and expenditure decisions are not made at the Ministry of Finance. The question you have asked me, therefore, is not proper. To say, are you saying the Ministry of Finance decision, it did not make a decision? I'm not saying that, I'm saying the decisions are not made there. So the Ministry of Finance never made any decision.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just an implementing AD.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from where?
So let's continue. Yeah, yeah, from wherever it came. So let's continue. So traveling.
Yeah.
Traveling. Can we compare the travel times of a member of parliament and a commissioner in energy or in environment or in finance? Can we compare? Do they actually travel more? Is it true that they travel a lot more?
Travels abroad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it true that they travel more? Have we done any comparison? It may not be true. I am saying it may not be true that an individual member of parliament travels more frequently than a commissioner in energy or in environment or in opium. I'm saying it may not be true. So when politics is being played, you see, parliament and its principle had to be managed politically. And the classical approach is the usual guerrilla approach. And it has succeeded in this way. Very. So first of all, you, the parliamentary journalist, we know you as worshippers of the speaker. We know you have stopped worshiping God and worshiping the speaker.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's how you were portrayed. So is it true you are the secretary of the party? Sorry for putting you on spot. I'm not saying you answer, but I'm telling you what happens. That guerrilla work is done on you. You are portrayed and presented as the dirtiest of human beings.
Yes.
And even we come here and also start parroting the same message. I don't want to parrot that message.
So I would want to know from you, Richard. Are you? I mean, I'll try to ask the same question. Are you saying Gobi is not
I'm
being
saying Gobi
fair?
doesn't have the power to determine any budgetary allocation. That's what I'm saying.
You are saying it is coming from
source, but that is cabinet. That is where it has it originated from.
No,
it is cabinet.
The cabinet is communicating. You see, when you come Apollo and you tell me Pastor Bujingo said this, it is not you has said. It is senior Pastor Bujingo.
So in a way,
Before I cross to Bate, do you find this?
Parliament's
Do you find
teeth must be the truth.
Okay. Do you find this decision appropriate?
I find it disingenuous.
but make it short.
Take your shot and give us your opinion on what you think. This decision, maybe.
I think some people have discussed Parliament and with a lot of emotions, and many of them don't have the appreciation of how it works. They want to eat their cake and have it at the same time, because you will find, let me use my MP for Kira municipality. He said the accusations against him. He has traveled. So I was asking myself, so what do they do? What do the people want? So they don't want members of parliament to travel anywhere, neither within inland travels or travels abroad.
He can travel, but the budget.
But when you look at when you look at
compromise MPs.
When you look at say the budget for travel is about 40 billion. Yes, a lot of money, but not a lot of money still. I think some of the things we have discussed them from a point of where we are standing, because we are really doing bad. So you organizations that were being funded by DGF have spent 2 years without a salary. So if you are one of those organizations, you have spent 2 years without a salary. And then you see an MP traveled to Kenya and was given 28 million for 5 days. Really, you would get a heart attack. It depresses, certainly. But I think the point should be made, and I have said this many times, I want to repeat it. Two things. First, we have to re-examine whether we need a parliament of 529 MPs, those who vote. True. Because that chambers wasn't even made to accommodate half that number. Little wonder that they never attend. And what is most disheartening for us who are sometimes in that parliament, even with 529, sometimes you can hardly get 100 on a good day. You find that house is really small, but you look at empty chairs. So the work that is done in that parliament is done by not more than 50 people. The rest are good for nothing. So we should be examining whether really we need a parliament as huge as the one we have. Number two, then if we have a small number, or maybe we can also look at then if you have 50 people, then or 100 people, then paying them well shouldn't be a problem. Number two, maybe also if we don't do that, then we should remove money as an incentive in Parliament so that it becomes a place where someone has gone to serve. Not really to make money, because 80% of members of Parliament, their motivation really is not to legislate or to do parliamentary work, but the economic benefit from that Parliament. Maybe we should take away the incentives, what is the term? Remove the incentives from Parliament. Perhaps we will attract the Richards of this world who now don't look at, look at what is happening in that Parliament, and they first of all, the astronomical levels of the amounts of money that they are required to get in Parliament that cannot be afforded by ordinary people.
Yeah.
I was told from where he comes from, Western Uganda, the least you can have if you are to start, the minimum amount you can have is 600 million. So, but where can you get 600 million? If you want to contest, if you are an ordinary person, where do you get 600 million to go and contest in an election to become member of Parliament? So these are the things that we should be discussing.
Are you suggesting that if we are to cut on public expenditure, we should also be looking at cutting the size of Parliament, not this particular budget of Parliament as it stands?
Yes, we should be starting from there. Because why do we need 529 members of Parliament? Why does Kampala need 11 members of Parliament? What issue is there in Kampala that 5 people or 3 people cannot present in Kampala? I mean in Parliament. Why do we need 529 for heaven's sake? Why do we need 114 the last time I checked? 146 districts. Why? So this, when we are, before you begin to say that I am cutting the expenditure of Parliament, why don't you go to where the problem is? And the problem is public expenditure. But the cost of public is, because if you cut their budget by half, so how do you want them to run? You have kept them there, you have not told them to go away, but you cut their budget by half. So you don't want them, if they have been ransoming.
But Gobi makes his point here, saying that Parliament deviated from the government's fiscal consolidation measures.
And who didn't? Who didn't deviate? Yoweri Museveni, the one he works for, because the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Finance is the only ministry that I know that is directly under the president. Actually, they say the president is the chief minister of finance. So this one is just one who serves on his behalf, not that the others don't. But at least the budget and everything, Ministry of Finance, are directly under the president. So the president, the other day, was just passing a supplementary budget before even we reached half the financial year. So if he's talking about fiscal discipline and what have you, why doesn't he start from the one who originates these things? So in this financial year.
So do you approve of all these expenditures that have been talked about?
No, you see.
Travels, I mean, I don't want to use the word extravagance in these expenditures and what. Do you say that even when we have not looked at cutting the size of Parliament, we should not be also talking about
but you see,
cutting
I don't want to look at the headache whose problem is coming from somewhere.
Okay.
So I would rather look at where the problem comes than looking at the headache, because you see, this and the person who is speaking about fiscal discipline shouldn't be the one speaking about fiscal discipline.
Gobi.
Yes, because the head of state, I have told you, the other day we passed how many trillions, was it 3 trillion? And much of it was for State House. Do you know that now the supplementary, I mean in classified expenditure where we don't look, it is about 6 trillion. And much of that is State House and Minister of Defense. So what do they do in these monies? So I am telling you, budgeting. I asked myself, normally we begin a financial year and we end it in July. I normally want to take a stock of how my life has changed in the monies they have passed. If anything, actually our lives deteriorate in that fiscal year that they say they have passed these billions and trillions of shillings. So I am saying, it is a good thing to say that we need to cut our coat according to our size. It is a good thing, no one can say it isn't. But we should look at the sources of the problem.
Okay.
And the people who are saying that they are encouraging fiscal discipline, you saw a list. The president's convoy is 70 cars.
Okay.
And you know those cars are fueled and everything. You saw State House has got 1,500 workers. Not even half of what we have in Parliament. So this, and
So
you ask
if
yourself,
we are to do what we are trying to do, we should start with State House.
we should start, for example, because it's the one who's, if you say this is a bad thing, it shouldn't be bad when the Parliament is doing it, and it is okay when you are the one doing it. So we should, the fiscal discipline we are talking about, and all of us should be encouraging it. It shouldn't be in one place.
Good.
It should cut across.
Good.
Otherwise, when you say you are cutting parliaments, you might be looked at as just grandstanding and really not, maybe targeting a particular people somewhere, but not really, your motivation isn't that you are concerned about how the country is spending billions and billions of in useless things.
Thank you. Dr. Jared Weria-Wanzalas, I think you can respond to the submissions from your colleagues, and they agree that possibly we are going for a wrong target. We should be starting from State House, where a lot and huge amounts of money is being spent, instead of starting with Parliament.
I do entirely agree with my colleagues that, for instance, State House, a lot of money is given. Sometimes that is very unexplainable, and what it does. And of course, many times we have said this is the money that is used to rent political support, okay? But also we have the appropriation role of Parliament, which is a constitutional duty. Now, I would have expected that if this proposal comes to Parliament, they should say, yes, okay, you are saying you should cut our budget. But they can also say, okay, since we are determined we want to go to be frugal as a country, then let us also cut the what? The State House budget. But I will not be party to an argument that it is proper, for instance, that if an MP has traveled, because there are very many, that if an MP has traveled for 5 days and he gets money for 15 days, then that is proper. I think that is very wrong. It is the beginning of corruption. It is okay for MPs to travel, but the travel should be reasonable. I have worked around that Parliament for some time. This habit of bribing MPs using travel budget started under the leadership of the Honorable Kadaga. Under Honorable Sekandi, it was not a practice. But under they started lining. I would basically go to Parliament. You find 20, 30 MPs are begging to go on a trip. I think for me, that is sinking too low, because people have turned the Parliament into a money-making. When the MPs, the emoluments in Parliament were very little, we had quality members of Parliament. And you would follow debate, you would see a Parliament that challenges the executive on budgets, on laws. Now, the more we have increased the benefit, the more the Parliament has sunk very, very low. In this year of this Parliament, where the opposition is led by NUP, for instance, NUP, I have seen the challenge probably on issues of human rights relating to, but other issues, even the credible MPs we consider credible, are lining for cash.
Okay.
For cash. The recent 100 million they received. They are very credible MPs who criticize Museveni too much. Someone goes and picks 100 million and runs with it. So for me, that's the beginning of indiscipline. Because if you have no credibility yourself, they have you on camera, you'll fear.
So you say
Should have appreciated this proposal and started from there
actions
and take action
to go
on
and
other
control
government institutions.
other aspects of wasteful expenditure.
Maybe just a small thing.
Do
I think the members of parliament are constrained by a law they passed themselves, the Public Management Act. I think
Public Finance Management
Act. I think it limits to about 3% how you can vary what the executive has brought. So you can only vary 3% of the budget. So it means that if they have cut you by 50%, there is so little you can do about varying how it has been appropriated. I think by passing that particular bill, which Parliament itself passed, I think it tied its own hands. Now they say it appropriates, but the appropriation law, if you can only appropriate away from what was sent to you, only 3%, it means that the role actually has been taken away from you inadvertently.
Okay, Richard, as we conclude, I believe you appreciate the fact that we are in a struggling economy and we need budget cuts somewhere. And how do you think where do you think we should start from? If it is not in Parliament.
You see, when you are struggling to raise 50 trillion and you increase your target to 58, I am not sure that the language of cutting cuts it. I don't think your ears.
We are talking about spending. We are talking about spending. And the 58 trillion
Is the target of what we should correct. But now we are talking about cutting spending.
You are sustaining an argument,
Okay.
like all clever moderators. So why do you correct? What is there is no single reason to correct,
When we're not spending.
because we are not going to correct and keep. No.
Collecting to spend.
So the reason we are
no appropriation.
appropriation is just a clever English. Appropriation is spending. Yes. It is just clever English. So the cut that you say we should be discussing doesn't even arise in my thinking. We already are increasing our expenditure from 52 to 58. I am not sure that we raised the 52, which means if we did spend 52, we sank deep into debt, deeper. And I can only say we are going to sink even deeper into debt. So the struggle does not just continue. The struggle accelerates. So if you are one of us in this country and you have a belt, if you are lucky to have a belt, please get another hole and make it tighter. That's really that's the situation.
Let me hear from Bate.
Do we start from now? You say we should start from, we start with State House, but how do we start on this journey?
I think under Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, it's going to be déjà vu.
Oh.
Whatever he's going to tell you, he doesn't mean it. Because first of all, he has tied his hands so tight that he can't do anything now about the wasteful expenditure. Because it can't be you accusing MPs of misusing public resources, and you are the very person going to Kedia. People are saying this one has misused our resources, and then you go to somewhere and you say no, forget the noise. You are a good person. The other day the IGG was saying, oh, let's look at the thieves. You see, Apple, I have told you. You know, I am lucky that I was born around. My mother was born in Kungu, and me, I was born in Nigeria. I see the money.
Oh.
People who have bought our lands in Nigeria and Kungu and Iwate mostly work for government. What is their salary? You find someone whose salary is 2 million, has got 20 units of apartments in Nigeria. He has got his house, the one he's living in is about 3 billion. So you ask yourself, where do they get the money? When the IGG proposed that we do lifestyle audit, this Apollo here we pay 2 million. How did he get money to sleep in Nigeria? Because the smallest piece of land, the least you can buy it is 500 million. So where did he get the money? So he said, no, we are going to chase our thieves. At least even if they steal, they invest here. Now, it will be really too much for me to say that we need fiscal discipline with the person who is supposed to head this, because the back end is with him. So the person who is supposed to head this, the wasteful expenditure, the corruption, the thuggery, all of this, he's almost promoting it.
So,
you know, so I think for me the ultimate
fiscal discipline
there will not be
in this government is a
there
distant
is
dream.
no fiscal discipline when Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is the president of Uganda. Then that we will be demanding too much really for him. I think the next group, we are okay. We are lucky that the transition is about to happen. Even if Museveni wishes or he doesn't wishes, it will happen. He's 80 years old. Even if in the next 20 years, even if he's to live another 20 years, me, the group seated in this studio, God willing, unless we die prematurely, we will be here. That is when we can start about talking about a reform. Otherwise, this group that is currently holding things, I am really constrained to say that I can tell them that, I can be optimistic that they can undertake any meaningful reforms to take away the wasteful expenditure and to rein in or to close all the gaps through which public finances end up in areas they shouldn't be ending up.
Thank you so much, Bate, and he is... Dr. Naboth R. Cole says he's watching. He says, Happy Easter to you guys. And I wish you a day of joy, comfort, and may the best come to you. He says he's the PWDMP aspirant 2026-2031. Thank you so much, Naboth. Dr. Jared, we only have 3 minutes. We go for a break. Conclude this topic.
The position he wants to hold is one of those I want to be abolished.
Abolished.
All those so-called special interests.
But you said it's not possible.
No, I am saying
in the current
I am not saying that they should abolish.
Okay.
I want that in the next group that comes,
okay,
those are the areas. Those are some of the because even people with disabilities also vote with us.
Okay.
You know, for me, I don't have a special...
In the general election.
Yes, they all vote in... Why must they have particular MPs representing them?
Oh. Finally.
But rightly placed it that the MPs limited their role to 3%. And I think the spirit behind that was that they don't want to prevent the government in power at the time from fulfilling its promises or manifesto to the people. But in this, because we have tested now that law, it's not working. It just shows that the MPs took powers away from themselves, and therefore they have resorted to solicit for bribes to allow this budget to continue. And so it means they appreciate so the challenge I would place to the MPs is that if you know you went there to budget and you have taken your role away by limiting your power to 3% of the budget, why can't you bring a private member's bill and amend the law? Well, and then finally, because they say, I want to conclude with this saying that if you do the same thing over and over again with the same results, then that is the beginning of insanity. Because you have not changed the strategy, but you expect that you'll see development, okay? You took away your power, you have done bribes. So at the end of the day, you are carrying the whole baggage, the problems in the constituency, of the bridges, of what, it is you carrying on your back. Why can't you change the law? Yet you have that power to do it.
So you don't agree with your colleagues that
it is not possible under the current circumstances to have...
The legislative power is with them. They took it away. Now they cry, they say, oh, we have been limited. Then they end up carrying the constituencies on their backs. Isn't that insanity? You have not changed the law, you have not changed the strategy, but you expect things to work well for you. And I can assure you, let them pick what they have now, because 80% of them are not coming back. It's a reality on the ground. We are interacting with the people in the country. People are very angry with you MPs.
But normally actually it's about to then the loan.
This time they might be.
Okay, Mukisa Gerard from Chengera says thank you so much, the panel, and he talks about Baguma being this time withholding information. You're not opening up as
He's
usual.
not himself.
Mukisa.
He has a law.
Okay, viewers, we
Must go for a break, but you can send in your comments and contributions. Tell us what you think about these topics. We've been discussing the proposal from cabinet now, from the executive now, coming to parliament to slash the budget of parliament by 50% as part of the measures to cut on public expenditure. And in the next hour, we'll be talking about the rift in the NUP leadership, which is widening and deepening every day. And this week, the president of the NUP, Robert Chagulanyi, suspended the deputy president in charge of the central region, Honorable Martha Tempuga, and Martha Tempuga responded in a strong and critical manner. He says the president is under siege. He may be making decisions not on his behalf, but he's a captive of the party. And we'll be discussing that in the next hour. Let's go for a break. When we return, it is the dialogue. It is the big show.